BarnBridge project call 17. We're going to turn it over to the tech and the devs. Bogdan, I think
the throne is yours.
The throne is yours.
I was going to say it's the point where I hear my name called out. But what I live for every couple of weeks. Okay, so let's go through what was happening here in the past 2 weeks. Maybe even give some timelines on stuff. Yield farming. So we promised a couple of weeks ago that we are going to publish a revamped version of that, and it's still not out because we ended up doing more than we originally planned. We missed the once a week release schedule for the past couple of weeks, but that's because the changes we made, even though they're not all going to be visible, it's worth it. We cleaned up the code a lot, so it's going to be worth it in the long run. Maybe even if you guys are not going to see those changes. I'm going to include a couple of other updates, not just for the yield farming side. In this section, we also did a big infrastructure migration to Kubernetes, which was part of the reason for those delays, but it served more than just one purpose. One of these is, we talked about this last time. I think I've actually forgot about it, and Troy Tyler reminded me of it. We were going to release a public testnet app next week. So I'm committing to that timeline. The testnet app is going to be up next week. It's going to be separate from our development environment. It's going to mimic the production app. Yeah, we had to do some new contact deployments, some changes to the front end, some changes to the back end to accommodate for that, but it's all looking clean. Anyone can start testing things on Kovan next week. What else? Yeah, part of the migration, we're also going to release a public version of our APIs, because we keep getting requests from third-party aggregators that want to pull data for BarnBridge, and they either use the graph or ask us for data directly. So we're going to have an API that they can use to scrape historical data and pull all sorts of data points that they want. Yield farming was next. Governance. Let's go over them in order. We started a snapshot vote for the Smart Yield Incentives program. I think it's about how much to give for which pools. So you know what that means. We're going to have a real DAO vote probably in the next couple of weeks for that. And Smart Yield, the things you've been waiting for, and the Cream and Aave integrations. You guys know that the gas costs are insane, and the main reason we delayed launching Cream and Aave is that it would have ended up costing us around 20 ETH to deploy the 50 or 60 contacts that we need for both of those. The good news, they're going to start coming up starting next week. I want to commit to Cream launching next week and Aave the week after that. So yeah, Cream also got delayed because they don't have a Kovan test app. So we also needed to deploy our own, serve our own version of Cream so we can test everything out. And the problem we talked about Aave with them launching the turf governance, like a rewards program. We solved that. We have everything in place for that. It's going to be interesting dynamic the way that we're going to give out the rewards, but you guys are going to see that when it's out. What else? Yeah, the other markets are going to launch with the USDC, USDT, DAI, and another one, GUSD. Yeah, USDC, USDT, DAI, and GUSD. Those are going to be the markets for Aave, and for Cream, USDC, USDT, and DAI. So there's going to be some overlap between them, but it's going to be interesting to see them compete with each other. And also, just as a precaution, wasn't really needed because the changes weren't that big, but just to err on the side of caution, we're also going to audit these integration and publish the the reports for them. Smart field, smart exposure. I have some bullet points here, but yeah, smart exposure is again, it's in full-blown development mode. We've passed 2 audits, I think, plus 2 revisions, one for each of them. Results were awesome. No bugs found, so we passed the audits with flying colors. Probably going to be out to production soon after the smart field additions. Won't commit to timelines on that one, but we have some more announcements for that later with the chain link integrations and stuff. But probably after the smart field ones are out. Smart alpha, still no changes on that. At least not a lot of updates we were willing to share at this point. Other than it's still a work in progress on the model. So I can share that we haven't started the smart contract implementation on that. It's still in modeling, but it's going good. And we had some questions from the community. Should I address those now? Troy, Tyler, do we want to handle those?
Yeah, I think you can, because a lot of it is around the development stuff, and then we can do operations after this. Yeah. Yeah,
exactly. One of the questions was, let me read them again. Which was the first one? Yeah, if we have 2 separate dev teams, right? That was the first one. Was there anything else? I just see 2 of them. The one about the development teams,
that was the first one.
About senior minting abilities. Yeah, we do have 2 separate dev teams. So there's the core dev team that's working on the products that we formally announced in the roadmap and the white paper. So Smart Hill, Smart Alpha, and all of the other integrations, the front and the back and everything like that. That's the core dev team. And we also had our advisors at Par working on the smart exposure, smart contracts. So you could say there are 2 development teams, but we all worked closely together on both of them. It's only that at Par did the smart exposure, smart contracts, and now we're the core dev team is working with them to essentially come up with the final product.
And the reasoning for that is the dev team. So like even like the DMOB side, like back in like December, November, I don't think like we shared. I put this in Discord, so I mean it's like public, but we kind of foresaw in advance that Smart Yield was going to require a lot of like integration work. Like it was almost like the original $1 million that we raised, like we were never going to stop building Smart Yield. So we raised additional capital, like a couple $1 million that allowed the dev team to expand. So we almost have 3 dev teams, like in terms of like groups working on stuff, but it's all under DMOB. It's all under the Indian Chief Malad is watching all of them to make sure it's done properly.
Yep, he's keeping us in a short leash. We're never leaving the office. That's why you always see me with this background. Okay, so what was the other question? The cap for the seniors. Why do we plan? Because we had those, I think, forum talks where we mentioned that we're going to cap the senior rates up to like 65%. The reasoning for that is like we bootstrapped juniors with the rewards to begin with, and this skewed the pool in the way that you see this right now. It's 1 to 90 or something, the ratio between seniors and juniors, and that's not something that would have usually happened if you just let the product be and we haven't incentivized the juniors, which means that like having the pool so skewed in favor of the juniors means that the next senior can essentially lock in a very large fixed coupon. So a fixed rate with minimal slippage for a long period of time and for significant amounts, that's very close to the originator APY. And that would essentially leave the juniors exposed to some risks. And like this is not the, some people might say, well, you don't have your selling to get seniors on board, why cap the senior rates even more? But it's definitely not part of the reason why there aren't any seniors that, or many seniors that joined so far. And this cap will definitely not serve to deter them. So whoever was going to join the senior side is going to join it just as well after the cap. So the part of the reason is also that after all, the juniors act as liquidity providers in Smart Yield to a sense, and limiting their exposure means that even after the rewards end, we can still attract them and keep Pavlov's loop going. And that's the reasoning for that. The rewards are going to end at one point, and we need to keep the juniors as with as little exposure as possible to crazy coupons and crazy interest rates, even in times where the pool is skewed. Does that make sense?
I completely support and bump what Bogdan just said. One thing I want to add, just so everyone on this call is aware, internally, even though this is publicly recorded, I was on a Clubhouse call probably, let's say 2 months ago, and Akin, you were on it as well. And basically there is a group that Aave works with that does financial modeling on all of these platforms to try to understand solvency risks. So Stani basically knew the dollar amount that that Ethereum would need to crash to, that would would essentially start driving concern for whether or not Aave was insolvent. And they're a group, I'm not sure if it's Gauntlet, but long story short, there is a group that we can work with and pay that will run pretty extensive, they're almost like a financial auditing firm versus a smart contract auditing firm, but they could help us make some of those decisions of should it be 65%, should it be 51%? And I know we run a lot of our own models, but the same reason we audit smart contracts, it wouldn't be bad once we release all of these products and start getting higher TVL, if we figure out who that is and kind of pay them to, it's just like a second set of eyes, essentially. And Stani said he was super impressed. But Akin, I don't know if you remember who that group was, but we can always talk to Stani to figure it out. But they,
it's Gauntlet. Yeah, so Gauntlet does pretty sophisticated financial modeling, right? So I mean, for Aave and Compound, right? So Aave and Compound live or die by their ability to assess all the sort of risks associated with collateral they let in, right? So all their kind of collateral ratios and stuff like that, it's all modeled out. And I think Gauntlet basically runs a lot of those models for them. So yeah, I think over time
we should talk to them as a second set of eyes once everything is released, in my opinion.
Yeah, we've already started some conversations with them. So we've had a conversation with one of the guys on their team, and just trying to sort of understand more what they're doing. And there's some things they're working on that I think are still not public yet, but I think they have some interesting things they're working on the product side of stuff that is sort of occupying their time. But it seems like in the next few weeks, they should become public. But yeah, I think over time, as we sort of release more and more products with varying levels of complexity, having some sort of a independent review around that could be of help for certain products. I think at the end of the day, Smart Yield sits on top of, right, at least currently with Compound and Aave, we sit on top of the risk frameworks that they have in place. But as you sort of extend it further out the risk curve, perhaps there's room or a capacity to engage them to assess other risks associated with other protocols. Yep.
Okay. So I guess we're done with the questions from the community. I think we can jump into operations, and then Pablo and Max, do you guys want to go over the Discord reorder or restructuring?
Pablo, you want to take that? Yeah, I can. Yeah, so actually we have set up our Discord server a while ago now. Like we've been adding some channels here and there, and like we just realized that there can be uh that we can actually make it better by restructuring that. So we went ahead and like Max and I just suggested the structure, updated structure for the Discord channel, and actually we already went ahead and changed that in Discord. So feel free to check it out, guys. Sorry if some channels just disappeared that you liked, but like we have just tried to um, make it all more organized, and also we were just trying to remove the channels that were not active or were like duplicates. So all the main threads are still there. We also added some emojis to just make it more visual, like easier to navigate through.
I love that. I think that's great.
Yeah, I don't know whose idea that was, but that was a great idea.
Yeah.
That was Max's idea. Yeah.
Good work, Max.
Yep, I can also go ahead and give an update on the some of my stuff. So we have finally updated the CoinGecko circulating supply metric. That's now is displaying the correct number. And also CoinMarketCap has set a blue check mark near the circulating supply, which actually means that it's a real circulation supply. We have also submitted the information to Messari for the profile update on the BarnBridge profile page, and that's now being worked on by them. Also, so an update regarding the docs and stuff will be finally releasing the docs tomorrow by the end of the day, like the updated doc structure, the new guides, some new outbound materials that will all live on the docs barnbridge.com. And also I assume that I believe that that dev docs will follow after that, like the week after or something. And the rest update, actually, I'm gonna.
What about the website? Like the new
website? I'm gonna hand it over to Vitalik. He has the latest information on the website.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. So regarding the website, I think we are on the good spot here. Almost 50% of the pages are done from dev perspective. We just need to build one more page by designers. Wireframes are done. We are aiming for the end of the next week that English version will be done. For the other translations, I think that is going to be a bit later. But yeah, I think Mark is going to publish some bounties. So yeah, it's pretty much it about the website.
Yeah, Mark, is that a quick comment about that? If anyone has done any translations for us in the past, I'm going to be reaching out to you because I'd like to give the people the work who've helped us before. But I know some people get busy and some people aren't available. So if there's any bounties that we can't get done from the people who have translated those languages for us before, I'll be reaching out via the Discord in the different language channels to ask for some help. And also I'll be posting some bounties again on Gitcoin. So look out for those. And if you're interested in helping out, you can just DM me in Discord.
Mark, everybody who's watching this call is going to ask where you got your visor.
Yeah. And your shirt.
Okay, so my shirt came from the BarnBridge shop. I had a mysterious box show up on my doorstep yesterday with BarnBridge on it. and it was filled with some goodies and shirts and gear and hoodies. So I don't want to spoil the drop that's supposed to happen today. I actually had this visor custom made. I needed a visor that said BarnBridge for my kind of like my brand. My friends call me the visor guy and kind of mess with me, the visor crypto guy. So I just figured it was kind of good for my brand, and it matched my Twitter picture. So just needed one. But yeah, guys, look out for the BarnBridge shop tonight. And thank you, Jen, for helping us out with that and sending me some gear. I was really excited about that box yesterday.
Nice. All right. Do we have anything else? I think Akeen, the next on the list is Akeen operations.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll try and go through this quickly. Nothing too new. Business dev, we're still having calls with, sort of lots of TradFi entities who are curious and trying to understand more about BarnBridge. At different stages of, looking to potentially deploy capital into our products. So continue to build up those relationships. On the partner side, so engaging with Chainlink on a number of things for some of the products that we're releasing. We'll be leveraging some of their price feeds on some future products. And also getting a bond price feed out is a big priority for us there, because it's a prerequisite to a number of potential integrations that want to leverage BarnBridge. So working with them to kind of walk through that and understand some of their processes. And also they're helping us do some financial modeling to better understand certain things about deploying on certain chains like Matic, for example, because they have price feeds there as well. So continue to work closely with them. I guess we joined the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance. We'll be onboarded next week. I guess part of the rationale for joining the Alliance, which I probably didn't go through too deeply last week, it's really like one of the industry groups that kind of bridges, crypto, DeFi, and traditional finance. So a lot of conversations have been ongoing in that forum for a couple of years. And so I think it's a place for BarnBridge to have a presence, one, to reach certain customers and users that need to know about us, but also to maybe drive some thought leadership around some of the things we're doing that are novel. So I guess the next couple of weeks we should know a little bit more about how we're participating and have a view into how we want to leverage the alliance to meet our own goals. Open DeFi and DeFi Alliance. Yeah, so Open DeFi, some I've noticed, has transitioned to becoming a DAO. And they put out a publication. I think anyone can just read the Medium post. But there will be some announcements once they launch and have a mainnet that would be pertinent to the community. So we'll share that announcement when it comes out in the Discord. So just sort of be on the lookout for that. And then DeFi Alliance, they have a founder series of, I guess, short talks that they're trying to release under their umbrella. So we'll be participating in that. And just sort of, it's nothing huge, just a high level view on projects within the Alliance. I think they're doing some marketing around that. So something should come out of that over the next couple of weeks as well. That's pretty much it.
And I can follow on quickly there. I think Pablo and Akeen have covered most of the things I've worked on with them, but two things I'd add are that on the China community management front, Leo's slated to attend about 3 conferences over the next few weeks, and he's essentially been doing a lot of legwork when it comes to both other projects kind of in the crypto space, as well as more centralized entities as well. So looking forward to seeing how that kind of plays out over the next couple of months. And then the other thing I'd add is that for any interested folks, we've been engaging pretty regularly with the Starkware ecosystem. So we've had multiple calls to Diversify, and we'll be speaking with Mutable later this week. And so it's been interesting to see, just all the different ways layer 2 strategies can come about. So we're obviously working on Matic deployment, but it's becoming very clear to us that the future is multi-layer 2, right? So we're excited to see how those conversations go over the next few months as well.
Yeah, and I think that I put layer 2 to talk about on the list. That was more just around like Matic and Polygon in particular. So I think like Bogdan and all of them will, talk about it more once it's at the right spot. We're in like a Telegram group with them and we're asking questions and we're kind of just testing to make sure everything works properly, but I'm gonna let them run that. But the one thing I think the community needs to understand about layer 2, which like we've said before, but it just needs to be reiterated, is for smart yield, we don't own our own layer 2 destiny, like what Aave goes to and what Compound goes to, and if Cream or something that we integrate into, like we're a money Lego, so we can't just be like, oh, we're going to Optimism if nobody else is on Optimism. For like smart exposure and smart alpha, we'll have a little more autonomy. So I think that once those things start to release, we'll get a lot more serious at looking into them. But I think like the rest of the industry, we're kind of watching and seeing what works. Like we're all pretty impressed by Aave's integration with Polygon, like not just on this call, but I think the entire industry was. And we still talk with Compound a lot to kind of know what they're doing. Me and Troy, and I think a lot of people on this call still talk to Kane to see what they're doing. So I would just say we're monitoring it in general. And I think when Bogdan has solidified updates that he wants to share, we will. And then my name was under tech integrations. I don't actually know what that is about, but I think that for the basis of this call, we've pretty much talked about most of the integrations that we're talking to between. I don't think I have anything to add, is my point. And then one final thing is I think probably when we originally opened up this call monologue or the agenda, someone had asked about like, Tyler, explain BarnBridge Smart Alpha and Smart Yield like I'm 5. And there's a YouTube video that just dropped that I think that we should post with this when we launch Twitter. That is this guy named Maza has actually started a new series that is like, he kind of pretends like he's an idiot and has you explain like a protocol and a product. And it's like an hour and a half. So I actually think it is informative, and people, if you're just joining this now and you are at this stage of this call and you don't know like what we're building, I would invite you to watch that video. I think it's good.
Yeah, it's a really good video. I actually sent it to some of my friends that have had trouble learning and kind of figuring out what BarnBridge is, and even like with me telling them about it multiple times, they said that video finally like helped it click for them. I guess sometimes just like describing it, you can kind of go over explain it, and that video does a really good job of almost like really breaking it down, like Tyler says, and almost kind of under explaining it.
Also, really shout out to that guy that he like really followed up with me and stayed on top of me to do that video. It's like he's trying to do like Crypto for Idiots, where he talks to various founders, and he's a smart guy, but he pretends like he's an idiot for the call. Like the format of it, I was really impressed with. So I would just tell kind of everybody to follow that guy in general, because I was really impressed by him. I really like him, and I just want to give him a shout out for staying on top of me to actually spend time to do that.
Cool. All right. Is there anything else we want to go over on the call? I think we answered all the questions from the community.
What's that funny?
One thing I'll add is that with Cream deploying next week, presumably, we'll be rolling most of, if not all, I think all of the snapshot votes we've been voting on over the past few months into that. And then because of the 10 action limit per DAO vote, we'll essentially have all of those wrapped with the Cream deployment. And then when Aave deploys, we'll do a vote purely for just Aave rewards. on chain then.
Nice.
I just want to add one thing that I think could be helpful as well. So Max has been doing a lot of research around also kind of what I term distribution, right? So over the long term, like part of our success will rest upon how a lot of our products can be distributed in secondary markets, right? So whether it's an ERC20 J token or an NFT senior or whatever else we might produce down the line, and it's a big part of the goal is making sure you have liquid markets for all these assets, because like even in some of the calls we've had with a lot of TradFi folks, like that's an area that they look for, right? Being able to turn over an asset that might not yield for a year, but be able to sell it in a liquid secondary market makes that asset more attractive. So Max has been doing a lot of research in this space, not just on like with layer 2s and other distribution channels potentially. So we're spending a lot of time there and just seeing how things evolve, because that's an ongoing area that will become more and more important as we go down the line. So I just wanted to sort of put that out there so people know that it's something I think we've talked about way back when, but it's something we're still actively looking into and forming a sort of like a view and a strategy on and how we want to approach that going forward.
Yeah. And to that point, I think one of the questions we got on the agenda for today was regarding the 10 weeks for the rewards we're voting in. And so the idea there is that those 10 weeks will allow us to accumulate TVL while we kind of finalize, how we think about subsidizing junior secondary markets instead of just staking what you've already deposited into Smart Yield, for instance. Just because there are a lot of different ways of doing that. And so we just want to make sure we don't rush any one solution over another, essentially.
Yeah, I think the core theme there Max is also alluding to is like to have a liquid secondary market, you have to have liquid assets, right? So you kind of have to have a TVL buildup to create the assets that you can now like distribute in secondary markets and have availability. So to some of the comments, even around like our approach to incentivizing the new pools we're launching, like part of the view to kind of attain TVL is not, just to get a TVL land grab in and of itself, but we need TVL to have liquidity, to then liquefy secondary markets, right? To kind of have greater distribution, which will attract more TVL at the top, right? Because if you have more liquid markets, then it's easier to kind of enter products, and because you have a way to unwrap that if and when you want. So there's a method to the madness, and every decision sort of has kind of a longer term view behind it. So just an additional comment for those in the forum that we're kind of giving some pushback around this idea of what the rationale for the TVL strategy was.
Go ahead, Tyler.
No, I was just gonna say if nobody else has got anything else, I think we're good to break this off. Any final thoughts, anybody? Shout out to Vitalik for giving all that money away.
Kind of cool.
Yeah. Shout out to Vitalik and Emo.
$1 billion, like $2 billion to actual charities. That's pretty cool.
That was a super flex. Also, shout out to the sushi team for buying Uniswap.com. That's probably the funniest shit I've seen in years. So good work.
And also, shout out to Satoshi
for not coming and showing his face for all this time. All right, bye everybody.
Everyone have a
wonderful week.
Cheers.
Bye.